we're going out to state. He actually did talk to me. I have on my, but I'm good, y'all. There's.
Really?
Whatever reason.
I know. Her husband's very.
I bet. She just goes like this, yeah, whatever, okay.
Anyway.
This is an hour-long conversation.
And there's.
What?
You wind yourself down.
That may or may not be that.
Yeah, we don't have that problem so bad. I just have.
Convert. So if we could.
I know you.
Six.
I was talking to you at the end, and I said that stopped, and I know, right? And then, you might see them. So I said, chief. I'm hoping so too. Yeah, they charge companies in the United States for the visual. And one of them is fine. Are hard to go and find. Like,
Yeah.
On the other side, in the third seat.
right, company, electric fund is gonna. Down.
Everything's going by like this. And my driveway.
There you are, Stan.
We got it all done.
So by entry.
Coming at some point. Oh, and I was like, you just found out you were and there were three and now there are two. Anyway, yeah.
I got like,
He doesn't know what this is.
right?
That's not me. I know what I'm doing clearly. But I told him, I said, you know what? I'm gonna be done with this spot. So we're done.
Some clarity on time for that.
So when we go over the face, the benefit of low operating.
Right, right. And we had one video on. Yes, and he's not online yet. Let's talk about. I waited until you had the lights. I like to give it at least 5 minutes. Yeah, we can't, the action that we have. Is that they have all the. I kind of got. the hang of
So I've seen.
Many.
Supervisor.
You have to have a forum first before our. It's fine.
I really, like I go walk.
If they show up, then.
Fixing that.
Everybody, give me the thumbs up and we'll get started.
So Yeah.
Fair enough. Right, yeah, right. Well, all right, thank you, man.
He doesn't wake up. So I'm like,
We need to.
And I'm hoping the general stuff, which is.
Yeah.
Um, I'm great with that. We just.
Yeah.
I was always.
take it on himself.
Oh, absolutely. And now
No, I. Alan, one more.
Christine, got one. We need one more.
You know, when it. So I was a little jacked up earlier and I'm feeling.
she's.
Out in prize exhibition. Oh, and that was like.
That's where I am.
You know, when I get stopped. Staffer doesn't do it.
One or the other of us.
Oh, you know, try to see what that's gonna be nice. It's like regular, and well, he like. A lot.
That'll be like I got out.
Oh, really? I hadn't watched to the OMW. So we had your section.
CO2 cans. That's fine. If I said it.
Well, I think it's your. I am.
No.
Yeah, this will be good. Just pride, foundations, everything. Right? You know.
I read that that's gonna be.
So I would actually serve up here. And I looked at on the. Even when I worked there. Just ask one of those questions. Yeah. So you serve only on that.
Awesome.
And 17.
Hey. It is, so yeah, so, you know, it's a big joke with 10 of my friends, because they all drink coffee, I'm not. Wait, I never, that's weird, I never, I'll just, like, never, but I do stop talking. Just I vote, and it's very different. Share it.
Oh, you made me to make four?
Oh, yeah, we're still waiting on one more person, right? We got one more.
I just need to go watch my dance.
I'm sorry, I'm spreading out a little bit. It's fun. So.
Probably.
Higher. No.
I want you to be.
Which one?
That,
Freelance. Are you sure?
And we hired Kelly. I am for at least a little while. Victor, asked me one of them. I just thought, you know, like,
Hey, well, you knew that.
graduation at the Hilton. And,
Yeah.
so, you know, then can you do this?
Since like.
Of course I can do this, but.
Want to?
We told them that we would be done by 8 o'clock, but I knew I was gonna have to start.
Are fine.
I'm just, it'd be nice if we showed up. If we were-
Yeah.
Maybe we can do it like mine.
Are you using
Choose one and
I
work every other. And actually,
I can't spell that. Oh, if you come from Springfield?
no, I'm.
I never, okay.
Yeah.
Wait, you gotta tell me your address.
I do.
I didn't see. Come to your house after I left for my lunch break. Okay. And that's just like,
They have-
I'll come to your house.
And like doing all the things,
She was called.
I think what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Right now, this is.
No. Okay. Well, that all goes. But thank you for that reminder. Not quite, I mean, do we have any idea when Christine, we know that we're the two people at least? Delegate Sewell and Senator McPike, we know are supposed to be coming.
They both RSVP'd, yes, and Supervisor Franklin's office let me know that she probably would be late.
What about Bodie?
They said he would be here tonight.
Okay. I really hate starting meetings late. That's like my thing. I value people's time. Supervisor Angry is speaking at a graduation. We do expect him at some point, and my original challenge was for us to be done before he could get here. But I can't do some things until we have a quorum. So why don't I go ahead and call the meeting to order, and we'll get through some of these other things that we can until we have a quorum. Let me ask though first, Ms. Panda, can we go ahead and have Zach at least be online? And I mean, what do we do since I don't have a quorum to vote on that yet?
That's right, you can have him listen in, there's no problem with that.
Okay, so Zach, are you there? No.
No.
He's not here. Okay, well, let me know if he does, and we'll vote on him when I have a quorum. Okay. Moving along here. All right, let's get started tonight with Byron Lloyd, Director of Safety and Security, for our monthly safety message. Thanks for joining us, Byron.
Thank you so much. June is National Safety Month, and each week during the month of June, there's a particular focus topic. So for this week, I'm gonna go over safety engagement. So that involves active engagement and commitment. Active involvement and commitment from employees and leadership, promoting and maintaining safety standards. One of the key elements is fostering a culture within your different organizations where safety is prioritized and ensuring everyone feels responsible for safety. Also taking proactive measures to identify and mitigate risk. Effective safety engagement practices, I'll run through a couple of those, is regular communication about safety with employees and also your community. Ongoing training for employees, and also providing opportunities for employees to actually contribute to your safety initiatives. So not just having it be just leadership, but everybody, all hands on deck to provide those and help with those initiatives. And one of the key benefits that we see with this, that it has reduced a lot of workplace injuries and also enhanced overall safety performance. As always, Christine will send information for you tomorrow, and you can share that within your employee circle and also your community. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. Welcome, Senator. You now give us a quorum so we can actually start the meeting. So, Zach, will you let me know when Zach gets on board, and I will be happy. Oh, we need that. Can you let me know when Zach joins, and then we'll vote him in? Is he here now? Okay. Commissioner Zach Drogan of DRPT has asked to participate.
He's not here yet, sorry.
Sorry. Okay, let me know when he does. All right, so then we can move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. All that are able, please rise to the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Okay. Attendance and roll call. Ms. Rodriguez, can you please call the roll?
Victor Angry, Andrea Bailey, Penny Bodie, Margaret Franklin, Tom Gordy.
Here.
Bob Weir, Deshandra Jefferson, Karen Earls, Idris O'Connor, Kim Short, Yesley Vega, Tanisha Allen, Monica Gary, Meg Bumpy, Pamela Young, Pamela Sebastian, Ralph Smith.
Here.
Jeanette Rischel. Here. Alana Mensing, Daryl Moore, Janet Holmes. Here. Will McIntosh, Deborah Frazier, Lori Hayes. Here. Jacob Lane, Kevin Marshall, Jennifer, Jennifer DeBrule is still technically a commissioner because we have not received notification that she's not. Todd Horsley, Zach Drogan, Delegate Henson, Delegate Sewell, Senator McPike. Ms. Vice Chair, we do have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Awesome. So moving along, our first action item is approval of the agenda. May I have a motion to approve the agenda? And do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
I think that was Alan.
Tanisha Allen and Jeremy McPike. And here's Delegate Sewell as well. Okay. Okay, all of them in favor of approving the agenda?
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Motion is approved. All right, next I need a motion to approve the minutes.
So maybe second.
That was by Holmes and Gary. And all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstention.
That is from Ms. Hayes. Motion is approved. All right, Virginia Railway Express. We have Chief Executive Officer Rich Dalton here. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair and commission members. So I got a couple things to do here. I'll just, you do have the CEO report in your package. Just want to give a quick service update. The total ridership for the month of May, similar to April, March, and what we've seen since January, continues to increase. Again, the month of May was unaudited, but just right around 150,000 total. And once again, near 7,000 average daily riders. Our system on-time performance, on the flip side, similar to previous months, less than desirable, but nonetheless at about 75%. Still dealing with congestion issues out there. Same thing I guess I keep saying every month. And of course, we're headed into we've headed into the summer month. We've adjusted to a seasonal schedule to try to accommodate or adjust for heat orders. There's just a lot of freight railroad traffic and of course our own service, including Amtrak. Did want to just wanted to thank commission members and specifically Commissioner Holmes for emceeing our ribbon cutting at the Fredericksburg station on May 21st. That was a great event and several of you in this room attended. Once again, a great job by our MC for the event. And I'll just say, if you need an MC at other events.
I'm here all summer.
And then I did want to draw your attention to, I'd asked Christine to distribute this press release that came out Tuesday. I just want to say at a high level that, and again, the press release basically states that the Virginia Passenger Rail Association is in discussions with Norfolk Southern about acquiring the Manassas line. And at this point, as the press release states, there is there's somewhat of work that guides those discussions and negotiations. My intent is to come back to this will be a little optimistic, but my intent is to come back to the commissions next month with a little bit more details, if you will. But I just wanted to point that out because it does lead into one of the action items why I'm requesting authorization in one of the action items. But just wanted to point that out, and I thought it was important that you all got to see that on or about the time that it was released. So, Madam Vice Chair, that is my report. If anybody has any questions, I can take them now, and then we could roll into the other items.
Okay, so before we get into the action items, yes, is he here now?
Yes, Commissioner Trogdon is now online.
All right, so if you will, bear with me, Mr. Dolan, one second. Commissioner Zach Trogan of DRPT has asked to participate remotely in the meeting. Commissioner Trogan, please state the reason for your remote participation and your current location. Commissioner Trogan?
I had to unmute. The reason for my remote participation is that I am on the date of the meeting more than 60 miles. My primary residence is more than 60 miles from the meeting. I'm in Williamsburg, Virginia.
Thank you for joining us. May I have a motion to approve the remote participation in this meeting for Commissioner Trogan?
So moved. Second.
Okay, so we'll go with Monica Gary making the motion and Tom Gordy seconding it, or whichever way you'd like to make it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. And we're in the process of getting briefed by VRE. So we are now on 6.2, 6.3, 6.4, 6.5. But before we go there, I think I forgot to ask, does anyone have any questions for Mr. Dalton before we go into these items? Seeing and hearing none, sir, please proceed with
Thank you, Madam
6.2.
Vice Chair. My assumption is, and so correct me if I'm wrong, to take these as a block vote,
Yes, sir.
if that's okay. So I will just quickly summarize each
Thank you.
one and then we'll move from there. So we're
That'd be
good.
great, since I'm trying to get out of here by 8 o'clock.
Right there with you. I'm trying to get out slightly ahead of you.
I believe so. Go ahead,
Another
sir.
meeting. Okay, so 6.2, 6.2, we're seeking authorization to execute an amendment for the 5th year of the second option period for the contract for commuter rail services in the amount stated in the resolution. Simply what we're seeking here is a contract amendment. This is something that you see every year. And this is really just, we'll amend the contract with Keolis for the fiscal year. And this is an amount that was previously approved in our fiscal year 25 budget. So there's no difference there. And so that's 6.2. 6.3 is similar to 6.2. We're doing about the same thing, but again, this is the maintenance of services agreement with Keolis because we have 2 contracts with them. And once again, it's for the amount stated in our approved FY25 budget. And there's no material changes from the time we got approval to that to where we're at now. So I just wanted to highlight that. 6.4, what I'm seeking is authorization to extend the term of our existing agreement or VRE's existing operating access agreement with Norfolk Southern. The reason why, obviously, I'm seeking this authorization is our current agreement with Norfolk Southern expires June 30th, 2024. We're under already a 1-year extension. Seeking this authorization, I'm asking for essentially authorization to extend the existing agreement up to the end of the calendar year. And again, going back to the press release as stated, there's a lot going on in that space right now. And so we continue to have negotiations with them. And so that's my summary, Madam Vice Chair.
All right, so I know that these have already been brought up before the VRE board and been approved there. So may I have a motion to approve action item 6.2, 6.3, and 6.4?
So moved. Second.
Okay, that was Commissioner Hayes, seconded by Commissioner Gary. Before I go for the vote, does anyone have any questions for Mr. Dalton regarding these items? Hearing and seeing none. All those that are in favor?
Aye.
All those that are opposed? Any abstentions? Those motions are approved, sir. Thank you. Anything else you'd like to share?
No, ma'am, the just information items on 6.5. Again, those are in your package and stuff, but I have nothing to add to those. So that's the end of my report, Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you very much. It's been informative and we look forward to seeing you again with more updates next month. Okay, moving along to public comment time. Speakers have 3 minutes, must state name, jurisdiction, and group they represent, if any. Are there any comments that have been submitted online?
Yes, Madam Vice Chair, 5 people submitted comments, and those comments and responses have been printed and placed at everyone's seat at the table.
Okay. Is there anyone present who wishes to speak before the board? Hearing and seeing none, I will assume not, and everyone, like I said, at your seat are the ones that have been printed out for us. Thank you very much. Going to move along to the consent agenda. There is no discussion items on the consent agenda. Commissioners may ask for items to be removed if that didn't happen. Is there a motion to approve and a second for the consent agenda?
I mean.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
My brain was.
Harry and Tom Gordy was the second on that one. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? All right, we're moving along. Executive Director's time. Dr. Schneider.
Yes, in consistency with your desire for a truncated and yet effective meeting. A couple of things. Preliminary, our commuter ridership looks strong, very much this month like last month, which is a good thing. In spite of the conversations we've had at our commuter lots over the past month, this is where we might get a lot of go pound sand conversations. Didn't happen. We'll talk a little more about this in the budget conversation. But frustration, but understanding. Again, we'll talk a little bit more about that, but for ridership to remain where it did, very good, very positive. And of course, our local ridership continues to be flaming hot. So we're very, very excited about that. Local bus service, similar trends, major agency outreach the last month. Major staff outreach the last 3 days. When I say major staff outreach, every single member of the organization, especially from the OmniRide, the governmental side, has been riding every single trip of every single route, every single day for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, talking to our customers, making sure they knew. Many of our passengers only ride short segments in Dumfries. They only ride short segments in Woodbridge. They only ride short segments in Dale City. We're moving their cheese, as the saying goes, helping them route plan, because Route 51 today is not the same Route 51 on Monday. So someone who gets on Route 51 today comes here. On Monday, they end up at the Target in Montclair. Those are 2 very different places. So we will have staff on the bus Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday too. Please mark your calendars. This is a very monumental event. Noon on Monday out front, we are having customer commissioner karaoke with myself, among with other staff members. And we are going to be singing karaoke with our customers and just having fun. These are new routes. They're exciting, trying to do some positive things. And then as we just try to do a little bit of outreach, we had snacks and water and things like that. So it's something different. We have staff members, by show of hands from our staff, who had never ridden one of our buses before.
Local. I had not heard that.
Local routes. So now we've had staff who spent how many hours? Probably 15 hours in the last 3 days riding buses. So it's been a very, very exciting time. So major service change. Every route is changing in terms of our local side of Eastern Pennsylvania next week. Overall, customers are pleased. We know for a fact some customers are going to be negatively impacted. If you get a complaint, please send them to us, forward it to us, so we can fix it. Some things we can, some things we can't. But if we don't know every customer's travel pattern, but we want to do what we can to ameliorate it, fix it, and help make adjustments. So that's Monday, and we're putting all of our energy and attention into that. And that is my primary report. We have the industry article, etc. But we want to get to the main squeeze of the operations update and then the budget report. Sure.
Thank you, and I want to thank you for responding to some of the people that I know that we've sent to you to talk about the changes that are going to be impacted. So thank you and staff, and anyone that here that has not taken the opportunity to ride a local service bus. It was a fabulous experience when I got to ride and just really see for myself how it all goes down. So I encourage you to do that. Welcome. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair, Commissioners. I want to say first, before I start, we do have a big Monday service change. It's a big deal. So hundreds of hours of training have gone into this with operators. Lots of planning, lots of preparation, all hands on deck. And one thing I want to say before I get started is how big of an impact it is to have the support from PRTC. Coming in, I've worked at other agencies and I haven't seen that level of involvement, this level of involvement. And so hats off to the team. We do appreciate it. It's allowed our operators to ride the routes and drive the routes safely without the distractions. Customers do get anxious with the change. So to have you guys answering those questions and to be there every day of the week, not just this week, but going into next week, is a really big deal. And it may not show up in the statistic that I go over, but definitely has an impact. And so thank you. Going into the monthly report, same figures we look at each time we convene. These are our microtransit / paratransit service numbers. And as you can see, the trend continues to go in the same direction. And I continue to put this in front of us because as we put out better service and we offer more service in the local, we're going to see this continue to go in the same direction. So I don't want to lose sight of it. Even though it only makes up a very small percentage of our service, it matters and it has an impact. It's having an impact on the community. So the gray area again, that's our shared rides where we're trying to get more butts and seats instead of single one-way trips. We're down 2 or 3 in the seat. And our on-time performance remains above 90%. It's at 92. And again, the blue bars is our ridership. Service reliability in terms of missed trips, we continue to stay under the average of 20 in 2024, which is 20. We're at 15 for the month of May. As we take a look back in December and January, I don't know if the people in the room recall what happened in December. Anybody? Well, I had a question in December about missed trips. And one of the things that happened is we expanded service in December. And so when we expanded that service December 10th, we seen some of our reliability go down. And that was a byproduct of us trying to catch up with recruitment, retention, and meet the demand for the new levels of service. And so our goal, obviously, as we go into this service change is next month as we come up, as I come up here, is to be under 24 and to be under 26. And that'll just show improvement from service expansion to service expansion. Vehicle availability, with the new vehicles coming in, I continue to echo the same message. We've been able to continue to meet the target here. This basically means we have the vehicles available to perform the service on the public schedule. And then miles between roll calls is above target. That means that we're reliable out there. Our vehicles are on the road and staying on the road, and customers can rely on that vehicle getting from A to B. With that said, that concludes the presentation. I open the floor to any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Wingfield. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Wingfield? Always an excellent report, great information. It's a valuable service, and you're right, there's a lot of changes coming, so glad to hear and see the partnership with Keolis and the PRTC employees, so thank you so much. Oh, yes, Mr. Rick Pike, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll just slow the train down.
It's okay.
What is the qualifying factor to qualify for a service interruption based on your data?
Service
Industry standard, I presume, is what you use, which is.
Oh, well, it would be nice to use industry standard because then those numbers would be much better. But in our contract and the way it's set up, it's much more stringent for PRTC. And so it's not miles between roll calls, it's service interruption that qualifies as, I want to say anything over 5 minutes of delay for the customer.
I have a question on top of that then. When we see this, could we also see what that industry standard would be for, just for comparative? Because obviously we're doing better, but I'd like to see that too alongside it, if that's okay.
Say roughly runs around 5,000 or 6,000 miles between roll calls. Is that what you mean?
I was just saying, when you share the information in the charts, if you could show us what it would have been if you were going by industry standard
Oh, yeah, sure.
alongside it, because I think that would help. That was a good question.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
They're great questions, and I agree with my colleagues. I think to show how, what superior service is being offered here is a really good thing to be able to share with everybody. So that's a great idea. Any other questions? Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Commissioner Gary. Any other questions? Nobody? All right. Thank you, Mr. Wingfield. We appreciate your report.
Thank you.
Okay, and just an example between a service interruption would be passenger that's sick, that's a service interruption. Has no penalty, what doesn't mean Keyless did anything wrong, that's a service interruption. We measure it regardless. Between miles between vehicle breakdown or vehicle failure, that is engine component and its major components. We don't count fare boxes, destination signs, things like that. So that's what we'll pull that data, and it's rather easy to comply. So we'll have that for you next month.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you very much for your report. Okay, we're down to item 10, presentations and information. Is that you also? None. I like none. Okay.
Second that one.
Okay, one second. All right, action items. So 11.1. This is approve and appropriate the Potomac and Rappahannock Transportation Commission's FY 2025 budget and related authorizations. Is there any presentation, or do we go right to a motion?
You can go right to a motion, or I can give a very high level summary of what's changed between last month, which takes about a minute.
Why don't we do that, since we're running ahead, and that's important to make sure everyone has good information to vote on. So I turn the floor to you, sir.
Certainly. With last month's presentation, we identified a series of reductions and consolidations in parking lots. After our public hearing and feedback from our customers, there were two main concerns. The first one was, would the ridership tell us to go pound sand and just not ride with us altogether? Because if they do that, then we're losing a lot of passenger fares. The secondary thing was, no, we're torches and pitchforks related to fares. Those were the two big concerns. We talked about that as rising fares, and are the passengers sticky? They have no problem, because the vast majority, which was expected, the vast majority do receive the federal benefit and are comfortable with the fare increase. Those who do not receive the federal benefit understand the PASS program and would rather still pay that relatively small amount of increase in order to retain the services. So that gave us the confidence to move forward and add in one additional AM and PM trip back to Lake Ridge. So that was the very exciting thing. We figured that out within about 2 weeks. With some of the operational enhancements and the consolidation of services and moving with that recommendation, the other thing that occurred, and we watched this very closely during the fiscal year. We usually don't have to make any service level decisions, because historically we're not doing these types of reductions year over year. But we watch our motor fuels costs very closely. And in the last week, the cost of a gallon of crude dropped precipitously for us. And as a result, we were able to save the equivalent to what a PM trip out of Manassas cost for the year. Bundle that with some savings that Keolis is going to bring to the table with some staffing elements through consolidation. We're able to return an AM and a PM trip back to the Manassas route. So it's not as harsh as a reduction in services. So we're really glad to do that. Those two routes do perform quite frankly pretty well. And so to be able to not have to make the steeper reduction there, but then make the other reductions as appropriate, is a really decent balance. We wish there was a little bit more opportunity to do that, but it's a solid budget proposal. Staff stands behind it. We're going to tweak some times based upon some feedback. I think that's already been made. It's going to be through the public process, and our date of implementation for the service change will be July 29th. And then we are anticipating, based on WMATA, either having this fare change on that date or 1 week later. We're not going to delay our service change over WMATA's fare collection issue. That we're just not going to let that get in the way. It's too expensive for us to do that. So that is where we are at. It is a balanced budget service plan. We are ready to go forward. Everything is ready from an operational standpoint. Even while we launch our whole new service design, the Keolis operations team is basically divided their team in half. One group is supporting the service change local, and another group is rolling forward on making the reductions to be executed. What normally takes 12 weeks, they're going to do it 7. And we started doing that about 2 or 3 weeks ago to get that ball rolling. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions for any of the commissioners.
Are there any questions for Dr. Schneider?
I was gonna say that's huge, because I know I know, I remember Commissioner Bodie and Franklin were pressing for the Lake Ridge route to try to increase services without Prince William County having to pick up the bill. So being able to be creative and do this, and then I know Commissioner Sadowski and official were concerned about the Manassas route as well, so being able to add those two services back while staying within your budgetary operating costs that you presented to us, and everything, and so congrats to your staff for going in there and doing the hard work and listening to the riders and having faith in what you put forward. And so I'm just excited to see, you know, in the next month or two, what those numbers start to bear out in terms of ridership and cost and all that stuff. But the fact that you're able to add those two routes, listening to our concerns and to the riders, that's a great job by you and your staff. So congrats to you and your accountant department on doing that.
Think anyone else have comments they'd like to make? Senator McPike.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to see the follow-up data in terms of price elasticity as pricing changes in the coming months, as you start to gather data in terms of, I think, so the review the packet, it was 10% or so, depending on the route, right?
Yeah, it's a little tricky because the federal government provides the
Right.
money.
But some with and some without, and so not sure what percentage of ridership that directly impacts or not, sort of out of pocket, just wondering what sort of price sensitivity you've experienced in the past and what you experienced with this one going forward, just to educate us in terms of what this move makes in terms of pluses or minuses overall. So appreciate it.
Good comment. Anybody else? Okay. With that, I will seek a motion to approve action item 11.1.
So move.
Second?
Motion Gordy.
Okay, so that was Alan and then Gordy. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? That motion passes unanimously. Okay, all right. We're moving on to chairman's time, or in this case, vice chairman's time. The executive director's annual evaluation survey will be emailed to everyone on June 7th, to all commission members and to alternates who attended a majority of the PRTC's regular meetings in FY24. Surveys must be returned no later than June 21st. No later than June 21st. The executive, maybe the HR director would like to tell you why I'm emphasizing that. Right? Like how many, Christine, I mean, how many times have we said this out? This is the executive director's evaluation summary. And so that we can prepare for July and meet and be able to give Bob the feedback on his annual evaluation. We need as much participation from all of the members as possible. It's really very helpful, and staff really doesn't enjoy chasing us all down to get us to complete this. So
You mean
No.
Christine?
But it's sure it's fun to watch.
I feel like I should publicly
Christine
apologize.
endorsed. Never does leave reminders.
I apologize to Ms. Rodrigo right up front. But knowing that it's coming June 7th, put in your calendars now if you need to, and you know, maybe this weekend, I'm sure no one has anything to do, right? But plan to get this back to them before they start sending us all those emails. Have you done it yet? Have you done it yet? Please submit, please submit. Okay, the executive committee will meet July 11th at 5:30 regarding the executive director's evaluation. So we'll take all that information. And the next PRTC meeting will be on Thursday, July 11th, because obviously the first Thursday is July the 4th, and we assumed most people would prefer not to be here. With that, I'm gonna open it up to the rest of the commissioners. And why don't we start with our online participant, Commissioner Trogdon. Do you have any comments to offer, sir?
I do not. So thank you for having me tonight.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you. And then we'll start on my right.
Yes.
I just want to say, everyone have a safe summer. Happy 4th. Obviously, we won't see you guys, but make sure that you stay hydrated. Wear your SPF. Yeah, right. Wear your SPF above 30. It's very, very important. And make sure you have flashlights and candles and batteries because we could have a turbulent summer, so in terms of weather, so just be prepared and stay hydrated again and enjoy your family. It's a great time. And we'll see you after the 4th.
I read today where the DMV Moves Task Force is meeting, their first meeting on Monday.
Okay.
Next week. I've said this before, it doesn't appear that there's anyone south of the Occoquan that's on that task force. So in terms of what the impact is on PRTC, I guess that's sort of still in question. So I guess the question I really have is, are you planning to have someone in attendance at that meeting, or having somebody observe it, next week?
I'll have a great friend there.
Okay.
Kate Mattice from NBTC will be there at that.
Okay.
That is the task force. The actual work, sorry, elected officials, will be done by the technical team from all the different jurisdictions of WMATA,
Right.
all the different agencies. I will be.
We know our lane. We know our lane.
There's a policy, well, it's the policy level decisions that have to be made, but then it's the math of what are the impacts.
Right.
And as that work is being done, so we're different roles, different times. If we didn't have the service change, I would absolutely be there. Service person this week. So I'm actually have a planned dedicated sit down with Kate Mattice to review that information. Much if you take a look at who's participating in that, a lot of it is because if, for example, and this is just my observation, if, for example, you were to say, well, if it's a sales tax, well, we know the 2 largest sales tax generators would be Loudon and Fairfax. But where would you actually need a lot of that money to flow to? Probably Washington, DC, WMATA, not those individual jurisdictions. So it's actually looking at it from what I'm eyeballing it, they're looking at it maybe from more a technical understanding of where the silos of transportation infrastructure. So having those individuals, so we don't have that WMATA infrastructure. We have demand and we have need, but we have it different. And so that's where the interesting part is going to be. There's that part of the funding mechanism, the DMV moves, but then there's the secondary part, which is how can we do better coordination and consolidation of technology, of information? How are we aligning our planning networks? And those are some of the things that we're working on internally. That we're doing, we already do this ourselves, but now we're starting to have deeper conversations of how internally can we start to work better with Loudon. And so this will help push that along. Meanwhile, now we get to engage at a higher level. This is the first time that COG's been involved in doing this, but we've actually had this relationship with WMATA for 15, 20 years. That's the interesting part, is now we have the COG involved, which allows us to cross the border into Maryland a little bit different. So we're
Cross that
excited.
river. Gotta cross that river.
So we're definitely active and we're definitely involved.
And you know, you mentioned it a little bit there, but I think the big question that WMATA is trying to figure out is funding streams. And, you know, given the fuels tax challenges, so, you know, within that lies opportunity for PRTC, I think. And so, you know, it's certainly something for us to pay attention to and see what the opportunities come for that, as well as what potential threats could come from that. So, yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
I'll pass.
Senator McPike?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just appreciate the entire executive team's work and outreach. Public outreach work is really important on major changes, so thank you.
Delegate? That's okay. Thank you.
Nothing that said.
Pass.
I came because I heard there was food.
So I want to thank everyone for getting us through this meeting really quickly. Thank you all the staff that have been here tonight and done a lot of work, especially all this work in the service change. It sounds like it's been very involved and tedious to an extent, and much appreciated. We know our ridership really appreciates all the efforts. I would just like to remind everyone that for July 4th, Manassas always does a spectacular celebration. You know, we usually expect about 100,000 people in the downtown area of Manassas. So the best fireworks presentation or celebration outside of Washington, DC. Everything will start in downtown Manassas around 3 o'clock. No, all the roads will be closed, and search all the websites, social media to find out about all of that. But we'd love to have all of you there celebrating with us as we celebrate our country. So With that,
Forgot one thing. We won an award. It's been sitting here the whole time. I looked up and forgot. We won the Exceptional Safety Award from the Virginia Transportation.
all right. Well, with that, unless there's anything else, as I had hoped, even earlier than 8 o'clock. So make sure everyone tells Victor.
Motion to adjourn.
We're adjourned.
Victor might still be coming, we should leave him and then figure it out.
Ineffective, right?
You just live there prior to.